Happy Friday. Today's topic is a concern for both companies and recruiters, and I think it's a good topic to discuss because a lot of the times this is a topic that a lot of us don't want to talk about, but we probably need to. That is the increasing use of vendor management systems. The point of a vendor management system on the back end is so a company can better track both applicants and the applicant's process, as well as keep a better tab on who they receive from different parties and honoring those people that actually send them. Some of the challenges that we face today with VMS systems are oftentimes not talked about. One of the biggest challenges is from a recruiter's perspective. It really has caused a disconnect between the relationship between the company and the recruiter. I think it's extremely important to recognize that relationships matter. I can tell you that most of my clients that have VMSs, I still have a very strong relationship with those clients, and I still talk to them directly on a daily basis because they don't believe that the VMS is a replacement for the relationship they have with me as a recruiter. However, the problem is when you get in with a new company or when a company engages you in a new process, a lot of times that relationship tarnishes. And a lot of times it's because they feel that they're required to just do the VMS system and nothing else. I think it's really important that as a company, you recognize the fact that the relationship with the recruiter is a very important relationship. For us to know what you're looking for, find the people that you're looking for, and being able to get them to go to your company, I think it's critical that we both understand each other. So I would implore you as a company that works with a VMS, that just because you're using a VMS system or a third party to manage the interview process, I think it's really critical that you spend time getting to know the recruiters that are helping you, especially those that help you a lot. And I also think it's important to engage directly and not really through the VMS. I find this to be very challenging. A lot of times the communication lags. There's oftentimes delays in getting things scheduled. And ultimately, I've seen candidates get lost because the person on the other end wasn't checking the VMS or the VMS didn't notify them there was a message. So I think it's very important and critical to think of that when looking at the VMS recruiter-company relationship. The other challenge with VMS is the whole thought process that we already have him. So there's two types of companies. There's companies that will never accept a resume from a candidate that's in their VMS even from 10 years ago. Or there's companies that will honor the fact that if a candidate hasn't applied or hasn't been spoken to in over a year, that they would accept the resume as a referral. I do have such clients. One of my best clients, what happens is they check their VMS to see when the applicant was submitted or last active, and if the candidate is more than a year old, they will transfer the ownership of that applicant into my name. Why do they do that? Well, the reason why is because they recognize the value of what the recruiter's doing. Companies that don't do that, companies when you send a resume or try to send a resume and it's already in their VMS from 10 years ago, companies that say, I'm sorry, but we already have them, they're not really thinking in the best interest of the recruiter, and quite frankly, they're not even respecting the relationship. The question as a company you have to think about is, if it weren't for what the recruiter was doing and giving you their resume of the applicant, would you have ever called them? This happened with a very good client of mine about 6 months ago. I sent a resume over, and then I went to go put him in the VMS, and it said he was already there. I asked the applicant multiple times, have you ever talked to the company? He said no. I asked him if he ever applied. He said no. When I contacted my contact, she said that he applied 8.5 years ago. I said, well, his resume is completely outdated and his contact information is new. She said, unfortunately, Michael, because he's already in our system, I can't take him from you. Next thing you know, I find out she's talking to him. That's not a relationship. That's not treating the recruiter relationship of value. And I think it's important as a journey that we go together, we respect the values of each other. So I would implore both the company and the recruiter to communicate with their companies and each other and try to come up with a plan and an action scenario that works for both parties. Just remember this thing. If it weren't for the recruiter, would you have gotten the guy or would you have called them? If the actions of the recruiter got you to pursue the person, maybe you need to give that person credit. And don't forget, if a recruiter submits a resume through a VMS, and then suddenly the candidate submits their resume directly, check the date and timestamp. If the recruiter sent you the candidate through the VMS first, the recruiter gets credit. Always make sure that the right person gets accredited with the action. At the end of the day, I work with VMSs every day, and I can tell you there is a reason for them, and there's a positive way of handling them. But I think as recruiters and companies alike, we need to respect the relationships that we have, more so than the software systems that we have. So get to know your recruiters, and recruiters, get to know your clients. Have a great Friday.